What's up, y'all? I've got some good news for you today. We have Ryan Boggs in the house, and this man has successfully transitioned from real estate to tech sales in a little over 2 months, and he's landed an 80K fully remote role at a great company. Ryan, how are you, man?
Man, I'm doing fantastic, Jack. Thank you.
Yep, and the new digs looking good. I love it.
Yeah.
Love it, man. Well, there's obviously a lot of people out here watching this video that don't know you and don't know what you were doing before tech sales. So, what were you doing before Sword, man? Kind of break down what the path was and why you didn't think it was going to be a good fit for you and your family long term.
Yeah. So after 11 years in the transportation and logistics industry, I decided that I wanted to had some experience doing sales in that industry and knew I really liked sales. So I decided I wanted to kind of branch out and try my hand at kind of the entrepreneurial side of things with real estate everything that I've enjoyed and that I always loved about sales when it comes to the relationship building and the networking and things like that with it. I was like, this is great. I'm loving it. There's definitely there with the sales cycle of real estate, with the ups and downs of the market that you just can't control. There were just way too many months where if I'm not selling something, I'm not getting paid.
Mm.
And it's one of those things, even where you can have a really strong month building the pipeline so that the next month you're going to have some really good paydays. But for that month, you're still not getting paid. And bills don't wait for you to get paid. They just keep coming in. Too many stressful months, too many stressful times throughout the year where it's just praying that God keeps the lights on, which he always did. And it was like, okay, I need to find something that can help bridge the gaps on the months that are down
Mm.
with things, and was looking into everything from like bartending to, slinging coffee at the drive-through coffee shops that we have all over the place around here. Even like, working security or something at a comedy club, just kind of trying to find whatever I could do that was going to give me some kind of extra cash. And then, yeah, I think it's 100% God's doing that he put a reel or some sort of post on Instagram in my feed for you and for Sword, that, I don't have any, there's no other reason other than God's doing that it would be there. I'm not a big tech guy. I don't follow tech companies or anything. So like, why would I have somebody coming into my feed that's talking about, tech sales and SDRs and this stuff? Like none of that would be in my algorithm. So but I saw that and I was like, okay, you were obviously talking about, things with your past and your faith and your journey through, with your testimony and stuff like that too, which is so strong. But it was one of those things that I was like, okay, let me see what this is about. Started looking into it and I'm like, okay, these companies will pay you a base salary and a commission with that. Like this sounds not only like and honestly, yeah, at first it was like, okay, this sounds like something that would be great to come into and uh, you know, have on the side with real estate or to do real estate on the side with it. Um, and then the more and more I got involved, the more and more I looked into it, I was like, change my life, change my family's life and our future. And with the goals that I have for us and that I'm trying to, uh, for our family, like this could really change those and change the game. And so, yeah, I was like, let's go. So I just dove all in with it. And
Mhm.
the rest is history now at this point.
Well, man, you would have made a very intimidating security guard at a comedy nightclub. So
No.
that could have been a path for you, but I'm glad we got you over here in tech sales. And I know real estate is commission only, and I know it does take some time to really build out your business and kind of build it up. What were you annualizing kind of on an average basis? Like, what was your annual income, I guess, at that point?
Yeah. So in 2023, when I first started,
Zero.
goose egg,
Yeah.
goose egg, which is not uncommon for realtors starting out.
Yeah.
I didn't get a single sale in my first year of real estate, but that was a very tough time too to come into the market. I did not choose the best time joy in the real estate world with interest rates where they've been, and they
Mm.
were very high when I first started. Not that they're that much lower, but at least over the past year, there's been a lot of hope. A lot of people are starting to see a light at the end of the tunnel, if you will.
Mm.
And but yeah, it was $0 that first year. And then I did partner up with somebody that because I did start out on a team, which I knew I wanted to be on a team when I first got into real estate. I ended up partnering up with somebody on that team as well, and who she was looking for somebody. She'd been in the business for about 10 years herself and was trying to scale her business some more. And so I partnered up with her. And from there, um, you know, for 2024, I made about 35,000,
Yeah.
which again, going from $0 to 35, great. But also
You've got kids
nowhere
and a
near,
wife
yeah, nowhere
and
near what I was making in the corporate world,
yeah.
and still just trying to build that business and drive that business. And it's just, yeah, it's a grind,
Wow.
man.
Wow. So from simply a a numerical perspective, you were able to basically more than double your earning potential now in a role that's
Yeah,
gonna have guaranteed base pay. And I think it's so encouraging to hear because you were a full outsider. Like again,
yeah,
you said you didn't know about these tech companies, you didn't even know about this role. And yeah, I believe by God's providence, we got connected. And it's really just cool that in around 2 months, your life can totally transform, income can double, and, now you're gonna get to be just working from home, making a good living with the family.
yeah.
That's awesome. What was your biggest fear, I guess, with the transition from real estate and everything you knew before into tech sales?
I think my biggest fear was just, which in a lot of ways was even proven true to some aspect, was just like, again, like you mentioned, being the outsider. Like, how am I going to break into this? How am I going to prove to people that, that I have what it takes? Because again, thanks to a lot of the teaching from you and from the academy, it's apparent that I have a lot of the skills that it takes to do this job. I do with real estate. I do a lot of cold calling, a lot of outbound work, and it's a lot of just driving and building pipeline, anyways. But um, as you're well aware, a lot of times when you don't have those three little letters on your resume, they just pass you on up. So there was definitely that fear of like, how am I going to break into this? Or is this even real? This seems too good to be true. I understand getting paid commission and things like that, but then to have that base salary to go with it, that just seems seriously like too good to be true to be able to make a living that honestly it's very close to what I was making in the corporate world before I left and went into real estate. So now I'm back to that annual salary of where I once was,
Mhm.
but there's potential on top of that, which was kind of what led me out of the corporate world to begin with in the first place. Is I was like just so tired of coming in, punching the clock, and just getting paid what they thought I was worth.
Yeah,
Like they're just going to pay you enough to keep you in the seat so they don't have to train somebody else.
yeah.
And so now knowing that the work ethic that I have, the drive and the motivation I have to excel is actually going to come back to me. Yeah.
And this is just ground floor. This is just the
Yeah.
entry level role, man. It climbs quickly from here. So I know we got connected through Instagram, obviously. That was a bold move for you because I think there's a lot of just weird stuff on Instagram and people see a video like mine and right away they're like, oh, it's scam or whatever. What was your thought process and like how did you eventually pick to work with us? Because there are other boot camps, there's other people out there. Why sword?
Yeah. I think that again, the way you entered my feed, like I said, it's a God thing for sure. I didn't have other training programs and sales programs coming into my feed. There, like I said, there's no reason why you should have been in my feed other than the fact that we're both very strong in our faith. That's the only thing that would have crossed our paths is that, but nothing sales wise, nothing tech wise, anything like that. So I didn't even look into other training programs. I mean, I've done other sales programs myself from a real estate side of things. So I have other sales experience, but as far as like specifically for this kind of industry, yeah, it was just like, I'd been praying, I'd been fasting for God to give me a sign. Is real estate the thing for me?
Mm.
Help me find something that's going to bridge these gaps when things are tough, especially when it was back in December, whenever I was really looking into things. And that time of year is tough when you have the holidays and things like that.
Yeah.
So, when I was just really seeking God to show me something, and then, that comes up, it was just like, okay, like, let me take a look, let me check this out. And then, the further I looked into it, got on the call, initially, and just kind of started down that path. I was like, yes, this is okay. This is definitely where I feel like I'm being called.
Yeah. And I imagine in the midst of you feeling called, probably still felt a lot of like fear and uncertainty and oh man, there's an investment to this thing. Like that's a lot of risk. So what would you say to that guy who is on the fence? Maybe they had a call like we did and they know this is what they want to do. They're not 100% sure though, because they've never done tech sales. What do you say to
Yeah.
that guy on the fence?
Yeah. To the guy on the fence, I would say, are you listening to what God's telling you? Because if you're on the fence and God's telling you something to do, like, you need to get off that. You need to follow what God's telling you to do. The devil's going to put doubt and hesitation in our hearts and in our minds, but we have to really trust. I had invested a lot of myself from training and development, between, like spiritual leadership stuff that I've done. Like, I invested in that. I invested in real estate sales training. I invested in Sword all for myself. I mean, within the last 6 months of 2024, I had invested, yeah, probably well over $10,000 in different trainings, self growth things and stuff like that. So it was a big deal to be like, wow, this is another investment. Um, but like I said, it was all just putting that trust, putting that faith in God, and knowing that He has put this in front of me. This has these kind of roles, these SDR roles have all of the things that I enjoy about sales when it comes to, to making those relationships, building those relationships, nurturing, and just trying to to get to get people to come together and be able to sit down and have that meeting to where you can help them, find the solution to their problem. Like, that's everything that I've always really enjoyed with sales, even from a real estate perspective. So yeah, it was like, just, man, you have to just trust that God's talking to you. And if you're struggling with that, sometimes that doubt needs to be the motivator, that's like, that I'm struggling or doubting this much, that this might actually be the right move, because the enemy knows that if I take that, that's a tougher battle for him now.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, nothing is guaranteed in life, but there is a pretty strong guarantee around if you don't change anything, nothing's going to change.
Yeah.
And you're so right, like, the enemy wants to keep us comfortable. I heard this story where there was a fence running down the middle of this field, and on the left side of the field, you got Jesus and a bunch of people that are team Jesus. On the right side, you've got Satan and a bunch of people who are just down with Satan. They're like, "I don't want God, that's fine." But there's this fence running down the middle, and this guy was on the fence in the middle, sitting on the fence. And he's like, "Well, I don't really want Jesus, but I also definitely don't want those guys, Satan and all of that. That looks crazy. So I'm just gonna sit here on the fence." And he's watching the scene play out, and the people on the side of Jesus, they kind of walk off the field and Jesus takes him away. And then Satan takes his people away. It's like, all right, guys, let's go. And then everyone's gone, and it's just this guy sitting there on the fence. And poof, Satan comes back and he looks at the guy on the fence and says, you're mine too. And the guy said, "What? I'm just sitting here on the fence." He's like, "The fence is mine."
Yeah.
And so that is where the enemy wants you. He wants you trapped in fear. And
Yeah.
to be fair, God does not call everyone into sword. That would be a big problem. Good problem, but a big problem. But yeah, when you start hitting that fear resistance, that's when it's time to press in and go, all right, Lord, based on X, Y, and Z, it looks like you've put me here. Will you catch me? And he's a good father.
Yep.
He will. And so if you
Yeah.
didn't take that step, man, you wouldn't be here 2 months later, ready to jump into a whole new career that I know you're going to crush. So well done. Well done.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Give people a sense for what it's like working with me one on one in the actual program. Cause I think there's a lot of ideas of like, cool, is it just videos or do I just like go into group coaching and all these different things? But what I do is truly one on one. So when it comes to
Yeah.
my coaching style, what was unique to you? What was your favorite part about working with me one on one?
Yeah, so I think my favorite part was just how, again, everybody has their own things that they probably struggle with most when it comes to the interview process, when it comes to the interviews themselves and preparing for those and things like that. Being able to come to you with like, you know, kind of feedback from different interviews and be able to say like, hey, okay, this is where, man, I'm doing really great in this area, but I'm kind of not. I feel like I'm not doing so strong here, and you being able to like either speak what you're doing here. You just need to be more positive with yourself about it, or okay, well, let's kind of role play in this situation or something and see how we can you know tweak that for you. Yeah, I think that was really kind of the most value that I saw in the whole thing, and being able to, know that, I could come to you with that video because it talks about this. It was definitely more of a, yeah, like it really did feel like as if we were, you know, together in an office or in a space, like you're a mentor, mentee, where I could just truly come in and be like, hey, I need help with this. And you're able to really show me how to work through that.
I love that, man. I love it. It was so fun working with you. And that's how I know you're going to be a good SDR because of the way you showed up for me. So your leaders are lucky to have you, bro. What are
Yeah.
you most proud of accomplishing? Like, obviously, landing this 80K role, great company, all of that is phenomenal. Be proud of that. But outside
Yeah.
of that, what are you most proud of growing in, proud of accomplishing?
I would say, again, going back to, like I said, like last year, like really all the stuff that I've done in the last year of putting my faith in God first. And so trusting when this all came about and putting that faith out there and saying, okay, this is where I'm supposed to go. This is what I'm supposed to do. That makes me super proud, especially being here now where it's been a process. There were companies where we would get into the final round of interviews and then you'd get that rejection back, or even as there were some that kind of seemed to string us along a little bit too, where we just want to know already, is it a yes or a no? Come on. But I think that, yeah, first and foremost, I was just very proud that I listened to my call. It's a God calling me into this. But from there, I think that, the perseverance, again, understanding like things take time and you just have to kind of keep your head down and keep grinding. And I think too, one of the things like you get to know people
Mhm.
after 2, 3 rounds of interviews, and like there's, like you've got great rapport with them, and then there you have to be able to disconnect and move on. And you just got rejected or hung up on or whatever it may be. You got to let it roll off your back and go on and make the next call.
Yeah. Yeah, man, I'm so proud of you for the way you persevered because there were a few of those that just seemed to be like, "Oh, it's going well," and then we wouldn't get an answer or
Yeah.
the answer wasn't favorable, and you stayed consistent, and that's the number one thing that my most successful clients do is that they stay consistent. You just show up to
Yeah.
the gym every day, doesn't matter how you feel, doesn't matter what happened yesterday, can you get your reps in for the day? That's it.
Yeah.
Because if you're
Yeah.
building that solid foundation, you're gonna get the good fruit out of it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, Ryan, I'm so
Absolutely.
proud of you, man. Congratulations to you, to your family. I'm
Thank
so
you.
excited to see where you go from here. And like I always tell my clients, you're a brother to me now. So this won't be the last time we talk for sure.